It's the 30th of October, 2016, and the sun is rising in the east. You're on the backside of your weekend, and wherever you are, I hope you're well. Though it's quiet, it's peaceful. These are the moments that you should be in tune to your thoughts. But deep down inside, you already know what is coming, what is on the horizon that has been looming for quite some time. You couldn't make clarity from it, but you acknowledged its presence nonetheless. It was evident. I say this, y'all, because some of you know that there are some decisions that you have to make, and your time is very borrowed. You may have taken a position to turn a blind eye to it or act as if it never existed. But we also know that was only a tactic that, given the circumstance, did not benefit you. How is everybody doing? For the last couple of weeks, we have seen constant examples of things that were apparent, hidden, unknown, slowly but surely come unraveled. This is not by chance. This is done divinely, because all things that have an important value to your life must take its rightful place. See, I explained to the intended heart, intended mind some time ago that it wasn't your responsibility to take note on behaviors that weren't yours. Your position was to acknowledge they existed, to gain the insight from it. To do so, you would have gained a wealth of understanding, kind of like having the ability to be privy to information that no one else has. And look at what's going on now. No matter how hard the veil had been placed up and tested, it was no match. It would fall in the intended time. And that is what's going on, my family. All the things that are required for your development, for your growth, for your clarity, they're being revealed. Some comes by way of validation, some comes by way of pure truth, which at times can be alarming. What you thought was one way was actually another. Don't you realize? There's only one truth by way of him. See, at the end of the day, y'all, he created us. The sooner you decide to embrace that there is more to you than the physical, some of those tests will go away. Some of those fears will dissolve. And you really see how truly beautiful and strong you were all along. Because see, what's at stake, y'all, is the coloring, the contrast, and the textures of what makes what you see. Some of you may be wondering, well, why did Gerald title it that way? Number one, to bring out that one thing that you don't want to talk about. You've been carrying it in you so long. Sometimes you even have conversations. That ain't nothing but fear. And if you're living your life in fear, guess what? You're not living. You're sustaining. You're giving authority to someone or something that will never see your worth. Who am I talking to? So it's my responsibility to place that seed and bring some light where you thought was darkness. You know why? Do you know why? Because you got work to do. Your work, not their work, not her work, your work. And let me tell you why. Because you have those that are going to come from behind the trail that you have walked that will learn, see, and embrace. This is your journey. We're talking about your life, y'all. We live in an environment, I tell you this all the time, where they want to paint, describe, and present as your reality. Really? You're not made from Mattel. You didn't fall out of a Marvel comic book. You were blessed. See, for example, nobody wakes up, no one is born to be a smoker. It is taught. It is taught through imagery. It is taught through support. And it is also taught through rebellion by way of disappointment. Who am I talking to? And it becomes a behavior. Because any behavior, before it is embraced, has to be a thought. And before the thought is solidified, there must be dialogue or conversation of it. So that is what makes your environment. So you won't do anything if you didn't think it was safe not to. This is what makes up the commonality of our friendships, our environments, our safe havens. Some of this is done by way of ignorance, too. Yes, it is. I'm putting this out because I got this feeling that there's somebody either on my subscriber list, someone who may find this video, hopefully in the intended time and moment, that you are actually convinced your life means nothing. And the result is you are living less than. There is a 50% reason behind why you see this. I'm putting this out for you because you are actually entertaining the fact of why your mortality has no value, and you are actually allowing thoughts of death to creep in. Now I can sit up here and tell you that ain't nothing but the demonic influence all day, because the end game or end goal is the devil wants your life. That's why he loves to use things that will lure and entice you from you. You gotta understand the devil was the number one angel. You do understand that, right? He was most beautiful too. That's why they called him the day star. Yeah, it's no coincidental. You see it immediately. Look a little deeper, you'll see it a little more. But there is a blatant agenda for you to not embrace your path, to keep you at bay, to convince you not to take that step. Whatever that step is, but whatever it is very important because you're on a crossroad. You have to make a decision. You know it. You've thought about it a long time. And now your bluff is being called. You have to make a decision. Why? Because that was the second gift that God gave you. Free will. See, the devil you have to willfully give your life over to him. There is a sort of checks and balances there. Now, in your mind, you may have this imagery of grandeur, and which really is nothing but insecurity because you are basing on the approval and the behaviors of others. You're saying to yourself, why did she get that and she did nothing while I'm over here trying to be upright? And it's difficult. The reason is to convince you because you are the audience. That's why they do it. They're doing it just for you. They know that you, even no matter how hard you try to be covert about it and play like you ain't, they know you're watching. So they turn it up. They want a response from you. They want you to act out of your nature. They want you to willfully defile the beauty that makes you you. Who am I talking to? The OJs say, the OJs saying, got to give the people what they want. But what if the people don't know what they want because they don't know who they are? And they're only going off of the environment, not the instinct that was inside them. You know, your discernment. Why do you think I keep echoing? Do you know who you are? If you knew some of those tears that you keep trying to keep within yourself will come out. But you know the truth is, if they come out, so will the truth. If you're not happy, why won't you speak on it? Some of the things about speaking your truth is based off of logic and response. You can speak your truth without disrespecting yourself. It takes discipline. It takes empathy too, by way of compassion. But if you will not unconditionally love yourself, you won't get it. So what is going to happen? I believe in the next 6 months, some of you are going to stop playing. And some of y'all are going to purge. Yeah, you know, purge. Remove the things that do not serve you. Because everything that you do should be bringing the best you to be acknowledged. Because that makes you pure. That makes you you. Why you keep thinking I keep saying that? Nobody, listen, if there was a way, you got to work with me. Say before you were born, you are able to see what you were able to see your journey. Would you still come? Most people won't. Because most people have this grandeur and they romanticize their lives. But they don't add the fact that you can't have a romance without work. You can't have a masterpiece without time. You can't have what is needed without the investment by way of claiming it within yourself to say this is true. You understand there are 50% of the people talk a good game. And then when the game is presented to them to deliver, they can't. Why? Because that's a mask. That's for show, which is nothing but a falsity to distract you. How about your purpose? We want to glamorize the survival. We want to support the victim. So you're going to sit up here and tell me that that person has yet to know or identify that they are a victim? You can't be a survivor until you speak your truth, to acknowledge that it is broken. Something's not working. The pattern has to be corrected. You can't correct the pattern unless you're willing to correct yourself. But before you can put any correction into play, you must acknowledge it exists. Who am I talking to? I refuse to believe that people believe that they were born to do the following. I've never met someone say, I was born to be a whore. I was born to be a junkie. I was born to spend my life imprisoned. But the visual ones are the easy ones to grasp upon. But what about the ones that are within your mind? You know, fear. Finally, everything's a reality. If you don't like the reality, change it. Stop making excuses for it. Stop giving it a platform to have dominion in your life. But see, I tried to be subtle, tried to warn y'all now 4 years to love yourself. I tried. See, Gerald got to do his work because I got a lot of work to do. And with those, there are certain conditions that must be fulfilled. One, enhancing my intellect. Two, preservation of my mortality. Three, placing God first in everything I do, even if it means walking alone. See, when you are in your purpose, guess what? You're not by yourself. You never was. And in the intended time, sprinkled through your life, you'll see the validation of works done. Why? He's got you. But society has gotten arrogant, has gotten delusional, have gotten non-accountable. And guess what? There are those that know this that are going to continue to benefit off of that. I can only stress to the intended person, stop worrying about what's outside your door and start focusing on what's inside you. Because until you decide to focus on what's going on inside you, you're not going to be prepared to deal with what's outside your door. It's outside your door for a reason. That's why you have a lock on it. Not everybody is supposed to know your middle name. Not everybody is going to be blessed to know your story. And not everybody is going to have the right to hear you breathe. Doesn't matter what this world presents them with. That's the bait. That's the bait. That's the lure to distract you from you. If anything, you can flip it and say, well, you know, I don't condone how that came about, how they obtained it. That's not my business. I know that's not what I need. But if they can do it, I can do it, but I'll do it better, correctly. Because do you understand, anything made with man's hands is made temporary. It's not made to last. There's no money in forever. At least mankind can acknowledge that, because they also know that they're not God. No matter how hard they try to convince you to think they're God-like, that's why they fall. And some will continue to fall until they acknowledge that he exists. Which is kind of ironic too, because how can you serve the devil if you don't acknowledge that God exists? Contradictory. Which we could also go left lane and say, oh, that's social brainwashing, blah, 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 blah. You have a beautiful mind for a reason. And what you decide to store in that will be the stepping stones that will help you understand not only your purpose, but the direction to fulfill it. Now, here's the hard part. Some of you are going through a season where you're starting to understand that the logic, the thought process that was forged in your development was wrong. And it has caused such a division because what you thought was right was actually set in motion to prevent you from seeing you. Who am I talking to? Oh, yes. And you're feeling a certain kind of way. No different than a person spending 4 years in a college to pursue an educational path, to get the degree, to realize after walking across the stage, that ain't you. There's certain things put out there only to be used as tools to access or tap in to who you are. But the real question is, do you know? You can't, look, you can't run from you. The more you run, the more baggage you receive, the more bruises you take in, the more pain that you feel. At what cost? For their benefit? A friend, family member should not watch you suffer. And if they are, why are you there? Why are you there? If I told you you're a sparrow, right? You were born a sparrow. But I also told you, well, those wings you got, they don't work. Don't even waste your time. They're just there to help carry the extra, that's the feathers, extra feathers that as you grow, you get feathers. So they go back there. And you believe it. You'll never see how fly. You'll never know what it is to fly, to soar, to see a different perspective. I think, who is that? I heard this some time ago. Um, ah, There's another very blessed man. His name is Israel Johnson. He's self-made, and he still comes to YouTube. I remember one time uh, he did a video and he used the analogy of the eagle and the pigeon. I think it was. And he said, if you were born to be an eagle, why are you thinking like a pigeon? Because a pigeon can only fly but so high, but the eagle soars to survey all dominion. Some of y'all should have been flying a long time ago, but because of whatever setback, really wasn't a setback, it was a set up. You forgot. And you allowed that mindset to steal time from you. And you might be feeling a certain kind of way because you know deep down inside I'm telling you the truth. You may have made some decisions along the way, and the reality is what makes your environment today. But you know deep down inside there is something better. You shouldn't be going through your life saying coulda, shoulda, woulda. Because as long as you're taking in this precious air, you're able to cognitively understand the words that are coming from my mouth, then guess what? You can change your environment. The question is, will you have the strength to do so? Because with all the propaganda pumped, pumped, pumped through means of communication, media, visual, audio, transcribed, there is still someone sitting down with the agenda to write it. Their whole objective is to convince you to do nothing. Like right now. There's an agenda to convince you, my queens, that the only way of success is to marry into money, to not use your brain, use your femininity. Well, anything that is built without love will not grow. Look at Mariah Carey's situation. And trust, there are many that follow suit and say, well, I'm going to get that man. He's got all the work done and financially has that nest egg. I'm just going to come on in there and set up shop. But what ends up happening is the illusion, the distraction, the time eventually fades. And the reality is released. And the truth comes out. And what happens? You're replaced. You're forgotten. You're disrespected. You're hurt. You're abandoned. Why? Because there was no love there to begin with. And this is a practice that has always gone on since the beginning of time. Since the beginning of time. I want access to what you have at all costs. Your soul's not for sale. Your self-worth is not for options. Your time should not be wagered. That's what concubines do. That's what lost women do in brothels. Yes, you know, we know them as the red light district. You hear about them all over the world, but we take no exception to what's going on in Las Vegas. You don't have to have brothels with structures nowadays when you have social media. Because social media, every year, through celebrity, selection, celebrity, convince you that you are less than. Who told you that? What is transpired in the last 4 years? We can say 15 that has not been going on in the last 50. We can say right off the bat, visibility, because what was kept as a shh is now wagered. Mm-hmm. Think about it. You don't have to worry about seeing that sleazy guy with the trench coat slither into that peep show. All he has to do is click, click, and he's in. Pay his money, he's in. But we're not thinking about our babies. Why? Why is it that society, we're breeding the wicked stepmother and the wicked mother and the wicked father, and they look it too? Because the image you see is a mirror reflection of what is found within. It's just a matter of time and how long you ground your feet to actually see and acknowledge what is shown. We turn a blind eye to it. We live in a society where young girls will go into combat over locks of hair that are not even grown within their scalps. What is wrong with that picture? I'll tell you why. Because there's no price in uniqueness, individuality. Everything is for sale. You're not for sale. You never was. And you see these false idols and pedestals, which we can also say, well, this has been going on since slavery, Gerald, because they put that little Miss Shantae on the pedestal while Mr. John went into the fuck house. But it goes deeper than that. That same behaviors is illustrated with your everyday sugar daddy and mama bear. But what they won't tell you is, what made you do what you do? How did you come to this mindset that instead of committing to me, you would like to sponsor me? What is the difference between a John and a prostitute? It's still services. It's still business. It just doesn't have emotional connection. Why? Because if you allowed your emotions to be involved, you would maybe feel a certain kind of way. Why? Because that little boy and that little girl that's inside you has been screaming for years, don't do this to me. Don't let them come over here. They're going to give you more of the same. Only thing is going to change is how they deliver. The outcome will be more of embarrassment. See, I don't know why 2016, socially, we don't even talk about the AIDS epidemic. It's a pandemic. It hasn't gone away. Because there are those that looked at that is even as a tool too for population control, ethnic cleansing. You've thought about it? See, at the end of the day, if you're blessed to have time, you're going to come to a place where you're going to reflect. And in that reflection, you're going to have insight. And in that insight is going to be truth. No matter how hard you try to look away or give a pass, truth is truth. And the longer you continue to run from it, the longer you will be stuck. That's not your story. It's not your story. So what's keeping you there? What is it? What is the linchpin that's keeping you from having that smile on your face? Is it that underneath sorrow that you've been holding on to for years? Maybe it's spawned from your childhood. Maybe you long for the connection with your father or your mother, or you wonder why your siblings who are lineage made of blood and bone as you. You question why the connection is not there, and as if you are two strangers. You do understand that is nothing but evidence of demonic influence. Your family should have your back first before the streets do. But if you can't sit down and break bread, how about ask for forgiveness? You have to question the logic of the bond. Don't worry. God said it best. Vengeance is mine. All you have to do is watch. Now, I don't wish bad on anybody. I don't. And I'm a firm believer that if you're walking around on this planet, you deserve to be happy. You deserve to have a fruitful life. And you deserve to have inner peace. But none of that's going to happen until you decide to own your life. How about protect it? If you treat your life like you're going into the 7-Eleven, well, guess what? Some of the trash in the parking lot comes inside. Some of the things that should be valued inside gets taken away. That's not your story. And you're wondering why you got those bruises, those dots and those spots and dots and lesions. See, before you decide to get mad at him or her, you need to have ownership for you. That would have never come to be if you did not allow. Because we being human beings, guess what? No one can make you do anything you don't want to do. Even within force. Can't make you do anything. Mm-mm. That is free will, y'all. That's the right to choose. Now you can choose turn this off. That's your right. You could choose to unsubscribe. That's your choice. I still want you to be happy. But I know in the reality is it's your life. It's your journey. And you choose how it is displayed. So tell me again why you don't think you are worth being honored. Tell me again why you don't think you are not beautiful. Tell me again why you think that you cannot make your dreams a reality. I'm waiting. See, Tyson's waiting on you. Tell me why you don't love yourself. Because if you loved yourself, why are they in your life? Now, let's go back to this big issue that society don't speak on. They actually mock it, promote the opposite. Some of your biggest fears is because of the development of your life, which starts at your home. And some of you feel a certain kind of way when it comes to your parents. But you got to get past that. The reality is, some of you may have been afforded to have a certain lifestyle and comfort, and some of you didn't. Some prepared, and some just made it day by day. The fact of the matter is, it didn't kill you. It didn't kill you. I know plenty of people that came from well family structures and threw their lives away. I know plenty of people that had a uh, elitist mindset that the world revolved around them, and guess what? They're still doing the same thing they've been doing for the last 20 years. See, the easiest thing you can do is talk about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. But if you don't put your foot down, roll your sleeves up, it'll never manifest. It'll never manifest. King, why are you sitting over there stressing over her? Yeah, I'm talking to you. Because she makes you feel a certain kind of way, you putting up with her bullshit. Newsflash, she'll never be your wife. She won't. Because she doesn't even see the value in her life. She just sees the commodity of having it. Therefore, she will never protect yours. How about your seed? Yeah, that. Because, see, people have this layaway mindset where, I don't want to be your wife. I don't want to be your husband. But I don't want you to grow. So let me give you this baby. And if you try to fly on me, I'm going to be right there like a cinder block. Guess what? You can put a cinder block on the foot of a pigeon. And that pigeon, depending on the tenacity of that pigeon, when you come back to look for that cinder block in that pigeon, that cinder block will be gone or that bird will be dead because it will try to fly. If you think because you are of a certain age and life has passed you by, I'm here to tell you, maybe that's when your life is going to begin. The biggest contradiction you could have is to live in an environment where you invite people into your environment and they're commenting like, man, this is nice, this is beautiful. Wow, oh, you really got on, but you feel, instead of being happy, you feel sad. You feel sad because you know that you're living a lie because that's not where you should have been anyway. They will never know the truth. You'll never hear someone say, well, oh man, this is a nice place. This is nice. And then you hear the person say, well, yeah, it is nice. But, you know, I spent a whole lot of time disrespecting myself physically. He really wore my backside out. You won't hear that. But it's the truth. And what has happened? The devil knows this so well because he threw it in play. What has happened? The role of the man has become the woman. And the woman is starting to think that she's a man, only to both fail. You both lose. Well, Gerald, he's handsome. You know, he made some bad choices. And he just need me the mentor. If you take a step back, what you're really doing is saying that was the environment that you were reared in, and you want to continue the cycle. I'll do one better. I happened to see the clip that Mrs. Yana Van Dance put out. She did the story about the young woman in North Carolina that won the Powerball. And the woman spirit is broken, y'all. It's really broken. And she painted a picture that the way she chose her mates were based off of the knowledge that she was exposed to through her mom's relationship and the abuse that came with it. Her mom was very stern with her than the other siblings. And the truth came out was her mom had yet to heal from the pain. You can't heal from nothing you won't acknowledge that is not working for you. If you there's no honor in being quiet, but more of the same. If someone's not treating you right and you don't identify it, you just turned around and said, give me more of it. I can deal. Who am I talking to? So as they went along with the story, they interviewed the fiance who had been in and out of jail in regards because of drug charges. And she asked her, previous to talking to him, you're a wealthy woman, but you're thinking like you're poor. Why are you with him? And in turn, she was like, well, no one was there for him. And I didn't want to turn my back. So unconditionally, she was there. But really what she was doing was continuing the cycle for her child that they have, because her father was not in her life, and her father bounced in and out of jail. So the cycle continued. And until she decides to see her life, to love herself. Listen here, you can have all the money in the world, y'all, and be miserable. Ask these celebrities out here today, if they could go and just be at peace, would they give it up? They walk the hell away. That's why some of the celebrities that you see that are big time, and then all of a sudden they just disappear off the face of the earth. Even Biggie said it best: more money, more problems. But the richest asset that you'll ever come to know is your life, y'all. It's priceless. It's priceless. Think about it. The things that you said you never be doing, you've been doing forever. Till you got exposed and you ran into the darkness to attract more of the same. You keep running and running and running. Jill Scott did a song about it. If you haven't heard it, put it up there. Jill Scott, Running. Listen to it. All her albums talks about self and loving self. And if you look at her life, she bounced from relationship to relationship because she didn't have a relationship with herself. Beautiful woman. Beautiful woman. But there were still aspects of herself that she was not willing to let go of. If not, by not doing anything, you attract more of the same. So in other words, like voting, if you choose not to vote, you basically gave a vote to the things that you don't want. So who's keeping you from smiling? You shouldn't be going to sleep dreaming about rest. It's like one of the greatest illusions out here, vacation. Why is it that when you go on vacation, that's when you sleep the most? Shouldn't you be doing that in your everyday? Instead, you're paying for it. Now, I'm for taking trips like the next person. Y'all know me. I'm quick to go in the mountains. Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to take a trip, probably either to the Shenandoahs or the Smokies, one of them. I'll put it on Google Plus. It'll be on YouTube. And matter of fact, whoever's looking at this video, I want you to go through my list and it's been a year and a half now. I did a video sitting on the top of this mountain, looking down at this valley, and yeah, this was in 15. So February, March, because I already had my Jeep, but I just got my Jeep not too long ago. Because I got my Jeep on the 2nd of 15. So look around the spring, summertime of 15. You'll see it. I have on a white and blue striped shirt, and I have my dreads. But listen to the message that I conveyed. That's for somebody. So what's going to happen is you got to be about it. Stop talking about it. It's time for you to let go of those things that have been holding you back. You already know what it is, who it is. or what the situation that may be. For example, if you're sick and tired of your job, what keeps you coming there? What prevents you from finding a better one? If you're tired of where you live at, why are you there? Why don't you take the steps to move? Hmm? If you don't if you don't like the way your health is, why don't you make a plan and start working on that plan? Society says take the cheap route. Just go ahead and let that doctor suck all that out of you. Don't change your habits. Don't you realize you just might as well had a layaway receipt tucked away in your purse or in your wallet, because you're going to see them again. The greatest challenge you will ever face is defining your life. Without proper mastery of communication, which will take all of your existence, you won't understand your direction and the events thereof, which means you must be transparent. You don't have to do it for your family or your supposed friends. I keep trying to tell you, those are not your friends. You might as well have loyalty to a brick wall, because see, they don't put God first. Their behaviors reflect it. And they boast and brazenly tell you that through their admissions of things done. If they did that to them, what do you think they're going to do to you? Who am I talking to? It's not your responsibility to play the martyr or the captain save them. Well, girl, she looked good. She make a good wife. Maybe not to you. Because until she decides to love herself, will she change her ways? And she can't change her ways until she understands her self-worth. And when she understands her self-worth, the respect will come. Because what will happen is she will have no choice, because the pressure busts the pipe, but no choice but to repent on the things that have held her back. Who am I talking to? It doesn't matter how well you wield that wood, how good that stroke is, or what you think you can do to keep them coming back. You know, every time you go out like that, a piece of you falls from your spirit. And unfortunately, those will not have the courage to tell you that they've given up on their lives. Those are the ones that have their nose up the highest, but need the most guidance. I pray for you. You don't have to turn your back on people, but you can't go forward if you don't understand where your feet are planted to see the direction intended. Don't worry about that. People come and go all the time. Let me tell you something, and I'm going to shut my mouth. People run from assholes and abusive people for a reason. They do it for self-preservation. But when you love, see, you can't kill love. You can't. You can try to change the environment, change the people, change the status. You can't kill it. Love only transforms and transcends. Who am I talking too. But them Johns ain't gonna tell you that. They gonna keep, hey, what you doing? Feeding you BS. We've gotten to the era of now you women want to do the same. You use your wounds to be your courage. Well, he did it. I'm gonna use that same thing. I'm gonna do it to her. Don't you know every time you walk with the people you ain't supposed to walk back, that you just every step is 5 steps back. Why do you think people say, well, every step forward is 1 step back? Because if it ain't blessed, you gotta do it again. But you're gonna be fine if you have the courage to admit to yourself you deserve better. God is praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Oh, no, 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 no. I never take that off. Never. God loves you. I'm praying for you. You don't believe me? Be still and watch what is shown to you this week. Be blessed.